For many years, I studied probably the worst things in our history: dirty wars, death squads, histories of torture, and that continued into college when I was getting my degree to become a defense analyst, specifically with counterinsurgency theory. And it was that sort of fascination with like the darker elements of people. That entire time I was also drawing. I was doing political graffiti, painting murals, always drawing. I just never took it seriously until I went to Cuba. It really began to impart this idea that art was important and the artist had like an important role in society, and it wasn't just like a hobby, but it could be something real. I studied printmaking in Cuba for several months. The strength of the graphic quality of prints, I have a strong affinity for it. I don't like actually making prints, you know, the washing your hands or keeping everything clean. It's not really my style. I always think about things in layers. It agrees with my analytical mind, trying to figure out strategies to piece things together. So right now I'm creating a stencil on the surface of the panel. And I'm cutting out areas that I want to paint and protecting the areas that I don't want to paint. So for many years I did ink drawings with a quill and just sumi ink. I was really enjoying them, something about slowing down and like dipping the quill every couple seconds, and it just gave me space to think. But at a certain point I realized, although they would look different, they were like fundamentally the same thing. And so I began to make collages just to kind of introduce new elements. I generate material just willy-nilly. It's like a really playful process where sometimes I'll do little crayon doodles or just watercolor sketches. And then other times I just straight up appropriate images that I feel could be used. And once I have generated enough, I just start cutting it all out and placing it on these construction foam, which is how I kind of begin to organize the image in my head. So the image that we're working on right now will be that one. The colors that I use are really bright and really bold and really naive, and I like that as kind of like a pushing up against polite sensibilities. I use color because it attracts people, and people are intrigued and people come up and look at it, and only when they're already caught in the painting do they realize that the image that is really beautiful also has some really dark and violent themes. Art doesn't have to be beautiful because you don't always want to feel beautiful. Sometimes you want to feel distressed, sometimes you want to feel damaged, and that's what art does. I think that part of the challenge that people have with contemporary art is they expect it to be impressionist paintings still, and they don't realize that it can be much more. I'm always trying to fight complacency. Fight the idea that there's some sort of like rule set, or I don't want to be riding on rails. So there's always there's the tools at your disposal, and then there's the way that you manipulate those tools in different ways to get different effects. I'm always kind of pushing to be surprised by the sort of things I can make, and pushing outside of my boundaries, my comfort zones, both thematically and also just visually. Like this, you're right, it does look extremely different from the others, but it still kind of correlates in my mind, you know? But it's important to always kind of be pushing, to be experimenting and challenging yourself.